Hello, welcome to Connie Martinson Talks Books. Living well is the best revenge, and living longer is even better. And if you are a star of soap operas for many years, and then suddenly you go in a coma, you're not sure there's going to be another soap opera after. But there always has been and is for my guest, Jed Allen. He has written the story of his life in theater and film and soap operas in Please Spell the Name Right. It is A-double-L-A-N. It's published by McKenna Publishing Group. Welcome, Jed Allen.
Thank you, Connie. Nice to be here.
Thank you. And an interesting book about how you got your first equity card.
Mm-hmm. We go back to, it's the late 60s, late 50s. I was at Pasadena Playhouse. My father called me, and he said, I think I might have a job for you. I said, how do you know anybody? He was a musician, clarinet player. Very good one of the best. He used to do all Benny Goodman things with the Teddy Wilson Quintet.
Oh, yes.
And he's quite a player. And he said, I got a friend of mine who's an arranger. He's got a friend at Bucks County Playhouse. I said, maybe you ought to give it a try. So I finished 1 year at Pasadena Playhouse, and I went back to New York, Pennsylvania, actually. Yeah. Right across the river was New Jersey, Lambertville. And got my 12 weeks in, got my equity card, worked with some wonderful people, like Edward Everett Horton and Jane Morgan, remember Fascination, and Russell Knipe, and Howard Da Silva, people like that.
Had you gone to American University prior to that?
Yes, that's where I really found out I could do what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I started out being a disc jockey. But I talked like a real New Yorker in those days. I talked like, one of these things. And it always happened. They say, hey, you don't belong there. It's not your thing. Become an actor. I had a great teacher, a guy named Jack Yoakum, and he was a marvelous guy. And I met a lot of people through him, especially somebody named Anne Bancroft.
And during that period, too, you meet a very pretty girl down in Florida named Toby.
That was right after. I met Toby a year later. It was 1956 when I met Toby, and I was finished school. I was finished passing the Playhouse. I had just finished Bucks County. No, I hadn't. Yes, I was going to Bucks County.
Yeah.
And I met Toby in Florida. And I was sitting with a friend of mine. He said, you got to meet a girl. I said, I don't want to meet any girl. I want to meet the one in the cashmere sweater with the large, I want to meet her. He said, that's the girl.
Yeah.
And we never left each other for the next 47 years.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Married 43.
Yeah, but you're living in New York, and you have a son who is born, and it is hard, driving a cab?
Driving a taxi, yeah.
Show me an actor, I'll show you somebody who's either waited a table or drove a cab.
Or sold suits at Lord & Taylor. I did that too. But driving a taxi was pretty rough. I was a mess, headaches and backaches.
But you did a lot of Broadway, too, at that point. I mean, you do get into plays. I will hold up this with the wonderful Ray Bolger.
Mm-hmm. That was called All American. I was the tallest guy in the show, and I was also a dancer of some sort and a singer. So they put me, because I could dance a little bit, they put me with all the dancers, even though I was a singer. And I also stood by for a guy named Fritz Weaver. That's the part I stood by for. I played it one time.
Yeah.
The devil, sort of the devil incarnate.
And of course, that's when you have somebody in the family come and take your picture.
Mm. Yes, that's funny. My mother, you want me to tell you about that?
Yeah, sure.
My mother.
Oh, that's a wonderful story in the book.
First, let me tell you about Ray. Well, Ray used to do some funny things. He was a very insecure man. Dearest man in the world, very insecure. And he used to not like the audience to go out.
Oh, yeah.
Entr'acte.
Yeah.
He would stay there and they'd start up the music, the orchestra, Once in Love with Amy, from High Button Shoes. What was it called? Where's Charlie?
Yeah.
And that's where he made his big to-do when he started Where's Charlie. And he wouldn't let the audience go. So one day he finished the show, And they were just, those are the days that John Glenn was flying around in space. And we're standing out in the audience, and he's out on the stage, all of us lined up, and I was the last one, because I was the tallest, as I said. And he would talk about it, and we'd sit there and Donnie get off the stage. All of a sudden, at the corner of my eye, I see a little woman crawling up on her knees like a duck. A duck walk down the aisle with a camera. Now, you're not allowed to take pictures. Even then, you couldn't take pictures. She was determined to take a picture. She took the picture. And they all turned around and started applauding me, including Ray. Very embarrassing, but very sweet at the same time. My mother did some very strange things. She would be, I remember when she flat out fainted on in a restaurant, and no, online, was buying some food. And somebody was trying to wake her up. Excuse me, you all right? She says, yes. Yes, where am I? Oh, yes. Do you know my son? He's Jed Allen. Let me show you a picture. Starts to go, that was my mother.
Ah, but that's beautiful.
It was great.
When did the soap operas...
Just a half inch off center.
Yeah. When did the soap operas come into your life?
Live television, 1964.
Yeah.
Love of Life. I was doing a character called Ace Hubbard. Now, with a name like that, you know he wasn't a very good guy. Used to beat up women, bad guy. Character lasted about 6 months, and then I went into Secret Storm.
There's a wonderful story, though. I mean, it's such a Hollywood or theater story about where you are hired and they haven't told the man you're replacing.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the worst days of my life as an actor, as a friend. I didn't know what to do. There was a party. There were 4 people who played the lead in Santa Barbara in the first year that I tried to get on the show. I was on Days of Our Lives at the time. And they thought I was too young to do that part.
Well,
C.C.
Capwell.
C.C. Capwell. And I thought they were all wrong, and I should have been up for it initially. They wouldn't have had the problem, I felt. But they had problems with 4 other people. I mean, there were some major names who were doing that part. The last name was Charlie Bateman, one of the dearest men I know. I have not seen him since. But he was not told. He told me like a month before that he was having some problems. They were going to put him in a hospital and put him in a coma and all that stuff. He says he knew what the story was. But he said, I said, Charlie, that sometimes means, and I didn't know about me being called then. He said, sometimes that means you're in trouble. He said, no, I tell me I'm not in trouble. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. He said, okay. And then I got a call. I said, well, he must know that he's in trouble now because they're going to look for someone to replace him. So I go and I get the job. I had to audition a bunch of times with a bunch of women. And I get the call, and I finally get the job, and I sign a contract. He still has no idea. And I go to this party put together by the executive producer named, can I name names? Mm-hmm. Mary Ellis Bunin, who's now passed away. She was one of the producers of the first reality show, Real World, if I remember right. Nice lady, I thought, but tough on a set. She has this party and invites both of us. And he says to me, what are you doing here? I said, about the same thing. I said, what do I do now? Can I talk to you, Charlie? I had made up my mind instantly to tell him myself rather than have him be embarrassed in front of all those people. So I said, can I talk to you? And I pulled him in and I said, listen, the reason I'm here, I shouldn't be here if you're here, is because I'm replacing you. He said, they hadn't told you? They didn't tell you? I said, no. No. And he starts to grab my arm. I got to get out of here. I got to go. I got to kill her. And he started to go with it, and I grabbed his arm. I said, Charles, please don't do it. You're going to make a fool of yourself. You never can look good doing this. This is only going to make you look bad. It's going to make it worse than it could be. Walk out of here and forget about it. He said, you don't need money. You're not poor. Life is good to you. Just leave. Let me try to do something later. So he left. And I once told her what happened, and she didn't believe it. She said, I didn't know. I said, I just gave out invitations. I said, yeah, but she couldn't really explain it to me, so I didn't. I wrote it in a book, and I didn't want to make it too bad. But
how long were you with the show after that?
I was in the show the whole rest of the time.
Yeah.
Until 1993.
When a show ends, then what? I mean, because you did get into celebrity bowling. I love that.
Oh, that was
story.
way back. I was way before that.
Yeah, but that was fun.
That was the best thing. Well, that was fun because we did 30 shows in 3 days, 10 shows a day.
Yeah.
Like how you work, you do a lot of shows, you know, and you put it all together. That's what we did. And I used to change costume every half an hour. Do a show, half-an-hour show. I'd interviewed everybody. I'd do 4 stars in every show. And had some terrible bowlers, by the way. Awful.
Oh, you
bowlers.
said Robert Clary, who was the dearest man, the worst bowler you ever had.
Well, actually, the Lennon sisters beat him.
Oh.
The 4 of them couldn't bowl as high as Robert Clary bowled, which is an 86.
Yeah.
They bowled a 79, 4 of them together.
Were you a good bowler?
I was a pretty good bowler, yeah. I bowled in 150, 160.
From that, I would have thought there would have been a talk show.
There was another show called Celebrity Tennis with Tony Trabert.
Yeah.
I did a couple of game shows that we tested. It didn't work out. And then I kind of ran out on the concept of doing it because I was watching people never do anything else again as an actor.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to give up that.
Now, you had done films such as Ice Station Zebra. What came later?
Not a whole lot in films because I got so involved with doing soaps. I was, when Ice Station Zebra came probably the first week, right even before Lassie.
Yeah.
That was before Lassie. I did 6 months. I was making $400 a week. I was taking home $275. I was living like a king because rent in those days for a home was only $250 a month.
Oh, but you are funny about Celebrity Bowling, where they had to pay you for every show that was done
They
that
thought they
week.
didn't.
Yeah.
They thought they could pay me by the day. Can you imagine doing 10 shows a day, 30 shows in one weekend, being paid for 3 days? That's what they thought. In fact, I had lunch with one of the executive producers of that show, dinner, last week in Palm Desert. That's where he lives.
Yeah.
Named Don Gregory. And I never bring that up, but
it's in the book, so
actually,
I
I
have
said,
to
no, I
bring
did
it
say
up.
something to him.
Yeah.
He said, I said, you're in the book. He said, you should read the book because I'm not going to tell you what I wrote about you.
Yeah. Now, Lassie, how long did that run?
The Lassie?
Yeah.
For me, 2 years. The dog was the star of the show.
Yeah.
And
the dog, you said, made more money than you did.
Oh, there was no comparison. There was no comparison. The dog, actually, the sweet dog. The concept of me doing it was great. I did some fun things on it. I had a great time in the 2 years I was there. It was a difficult situation because it was splitting the shows with that gentleman there.
Yeah.
And I didn't do enough shows, so it wasn't worth my while. And then I got Days of Our Lives anyway.
Yeah. Here is the family. Your family plays a large part, too.
That side, yes.
Yeah.
They're wonderful. My wife,
And
my
Toby
wife is
became Renta Yenta?
Renta Yenta. And she wrote a book that she published herself called Enter Renta Yenta.
Yeah.
And it didn't sell because she didn't have any backing on it, but she was a dear lady.
In writing about her and her demise, I kept thinking of, there's a cartoon writer who's done a whole cartoon about how his beloved dies and how he felt so small in that as afterwards the grief. And I felt that reading because she went so suddenly.
Yeah, well, it's I still have difficulty talking about it. Writing it was one thing, and even when I wrote it and I read it to Rusty, who was my co-writer, and I read it to him over the phone, I started just hysterically crying. I said, I can't talk anymore, Rusty, I'll call you back.
Yeah.
And we're talking 3 years later,
Yeah.
close to 3 years.
It's having a toothache in your heart.
Endless, never goes away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never goes away. She was, the relationship, 47 years of being together, 43 years of marriage, it's very difficult to just say there was a part of your life. It was your life.
Your life, yeah.
And the ache will never go away. And I don't want it to go away. I don't want to let go. And it's something I just hold on to. There's a shrine in my house, and I never take it down, and pictures and all that stuff. It's difficult to date and be with other women, to bring them to my house because it's difficult for them. So I don't do any of that.
Well, it's hard to know. The answer is always in your heart, and that's the end result. For people who need to know, you are in General Hospital now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm having a good time with that. It's fun.
Yeah.
I was...
How often do you come, and where do you shoot?
We shoot at ABC,
Yeah.
over at Prospect Avenue, and the show's been a joy. It's funny, the full circle, because the executive producer, was one of the executive producers in Santa Barbara. And the other executive producer from when my wife passed away, I called Julie Carruthers, who is now the producer of One Life to Live in New York. And I said, Julie, I need some help. I am in desperate need of doing something to get my head together and be occupied. So She found something for me in a week. It's supposed to be for 7 shows, 8 shows. It lasted 8 months.
Yeah.
And her, I owe a lot.
Yeah. It's interesting. That's a whole other world, the soap opera world.
Totally different.
Yeah. But they have their fans, and I'm sure you have won awards with them. And fascinating reading, Jed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Connie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Will you autograph my
Of course.
book? And we'll be back after a short pause.